The Honourable Member Brendan Horan. Tēnā koe, Mr Horan.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker, and tolofa. Thank you.
Mai oi.
The question today is whether Mighty River Power should be a public organisation, and that's a most obvious no-brainer. Of course, Mighty River should be subject to scrutiny. It must be subject to public scrutiny. It cannot be exempt from public scrutiny. The mums and dads who have been led astray by the National Party are deserving of some protection. Heaven knows there's none for them in the share market. And if you compare the reaction of that government to the equity of mum and dad investors, and that's their term, their sneering way of referring to the poor people of New Zealand, poor in both senses of the word now, the poor people who did their dough in Mighty River at $2.50. Compare, sir, the reactions of Sam Lotoliga and the Honourable Peter Dunn on TV on the vote a fortnight ago, where they nearly became hysterical over the equity that speculators have in the housing bubble. Now, those two members attacked the opposition stridently. They shouted that we were going to destroy the equity that speculators have in their housing portfolios. Renters with 50, 100, 200 residential portfolios, properties in their portfolios. And not a word, not an ounce of sympathy from Peter Dunn and Sam Lotoliga for the first home buyers, sir. The young families who have no way to accumulate wealth under this government's policies, nor from anyone else in the national government. Yet what has happened to the Mighty River share price? Down, 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 faster than a skydiver, and there is no parachute. Since listing in mid-May, over $400 million of wealth has been destroyed. From an issue price of $2.50 a share, in 4 short months it has dropped to $2.23, and just 10 days ago, sir, it reached an all-time low of $2.16. Looking at the trend here, there is no bottom in sight. Mighty River share price as fluctuations around a downward trend. The shares have lost over 13% in value over just 4 short months, and at this rate, mum and dad investors will have lost half their money within the year and will have done their dough totally by mid-2015. And maybe that doesn't worry Bill English because he's gambling on that being after the next election. Sir, Mighty River Power and the other state-owned enterprises that John Key is flogging off like the family silver, we've seen a number of questionable manoeuvres from this government. Financial dealings that are really a little different from Bridgecore or Hanover Finance. They move power stations around between Mighty River and Meridian and Genesis like the P in a 3-card shell game, sir. And the hard-working folks at Tekapo A and Tekapo B and Whirinaki could be excused for not knowing who owned each power station on a particular day. And, sir, with Meridian, our next state-owned enterprise to be sold, we've seen a $30 million handout to Rio Tinto. But what's not been told about that story, sir, is the absolute incompetence of the Minister of State-Owned Enterprises, asleep at the wheel because who couldn't see Rio Tinto manoeuvring New Zealand, and fancy that minister allowing Rio Tinto to manoeuvre New Zealand into such a vulnerable position. And it would be very interesting to have the disinfectant of sunlight, sir, looking at the relationship between the heads of Kamalco, those National Party cronies, and the Minister of State-Owned Enterprises. And now we have Bill English thinking we are very gullible, and he's sadly banking on the adage that there's one born every minute, and we come along with a buy now, pay later deal, as my colleagues have stressed, steak knives. People get to keep 100% of the dividend when they haven't even paid for the shares. And wait, there's more. He's set a cap on the shares, on the price cap on the shares, so that as few mates who can afford to buy them can get in at a lower price than they should. And let's not forget the $100 million or so paid to Aussie banks just to prepare for the float. Sir, the prices that these are going to be sold for represent another subsidy from the hard-working families of New Zealand, the people whose power prices are going to go up and up just to support a few. And it's interesting that Bill English ignored Treasury. He ignored their advice against him. To Treasury's credit, they did warn Bill English and John Key that the Emperor has no clothes. So, Mr. Speaker, this motion represents a small step to turn back the tide, to expose what ongoing mischief there may be from National over this power company that the public built up over 80 years, that used to be the jewel in our crown, a public asset of benefit to the public that this government is selling off.
Thank you, Mr. Horan. The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will please say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. The ayes have it. Therefore, honourable members, it's my intention to call on Government Order of the Day number 2.
Government